Happy Friday, everyone, and happy Earth Day. We will start with the Toronto and Region Source Protection Authority meeting. The meeting will be conducted via video conference, and the live stream is rolling. I will turn it over to our clerk to do roll call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If everybody can unmute themselves and let me know if they are in attendance for the record. Ainsley?
Here.
Ash has sent regrets. Carol? Carol? Chapelwick?
Present. Ash is here.
Oh, Ash is here. Thank you. Demerla?
Yes, present.
Demerla?
Present.
Thank you. Guys?
Present.
DePaula? DePaula? Drake?
Present.
Fletcher is absent. Fonseca?
Good morning, present.
Thank you. Han? Han? Heath?
Bueller.
Present.
Thank you. Hyatt?
Good morning.
Thank you. Innes?
Present.
Thank you. Jackson?
Present.
Thank you. Kelleher?
Present.
Layton?
Present.
Mukherjee?
Present.
Matlow?
Present.
Kaleshi?
Present. Good morning.
Thank you. Pasternak has sent regrets. Pellegrini?
Present and greetings.
Thank you. Peruzza? Peruzza? Rosati?
Present.
Santos has sent in her regrets. Sinclair?
Present.
Thank you. And Tang has sent in her regrets. Thank you.
Thank you. We respectfully acknowledge the lands we are situated on, our traditional territories and treaty lands, in particular those of the Mississauga of the Credit, as well as the Anishinaabe of the Williams Treaty First Nations, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and are now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto and Region Conservation Authority appreciates and respects the history and diversity of the land and is grateful to have the opportunity to work and meet in this territory.
Madam Chair, it's Councilor Carroll. Could I ask for a second? Could we go back to the beginning of the alphabet and just mark me present? I got here halfway through the alphabet.
Yep, no problem. As noted. Minutes of the meeting held on April 30th, 2021. 3.1 was a minute link. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Can I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Fonseca, seconded by Dr. Drake. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Hearing and seeing none, there are no delegations or presentations. Correspondence 7.1, a letter dated February the 23rd, 2022 from the Honorable David Piccini, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, in regard to approval of the amendment to Toronto Region Source Protection Authority Assessment Report. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Hyatt, seconded by Councillor Jackson. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Section 1, 8.1, Annual Report 2021 Drinking Water Source Protection Program. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Vice Chair Heath, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and I read this carefully. I had two questions. The first one, it refers to, in the annual report, 3 sites in our region still not remediated. Now, we started this process closing in on a decade ago. Why do we still have some sites that are not remediated? I'm not sure who I'm asking, actually.
Yeah, we'll start with John.
Sure. Through the chair, I think I'm going to turn this over to Lori Nelson and if Don Forbes is with us as well to discuss some of the specifics on this. But yeah, and overall, it's been very successful in our like TRCA jurisdiction. But there are those outstanding sites. So I'll turn it over to them. Go ahead.
Good morning, and through the chair, and in response to the questions, I'm actually going to redirect that question to Janet Ivey. We have her joining us today from Credit Valley Conservation as the lead source protection agency and program manager. So I kindly just redirect that to Janet, and we do have Dawn on for it as well. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you. Through the chair, as John mentioned, the implementation has been strong overall through the Toronto and Region jurisdiction. The 3 remaining outstanding significant drinking water threats that were originally identified at the time of the assessment report in 2015 are for pesticides application. And it has traditionally been challenging to establish risk management plans for some of the agricultural properties. They tend to be quite complicated risk management plans, and it takes a lot of negotiation and relationship building with the landowners to get these in place. So these 3 are within one of the wellhead protection areas in York Region, and staff are actively working with landowners to get these risk management plans in place.
I'll follow up, Madam Chair. What happens if we can't do it? What happens if we're just not able, if we don't get enough cooperation to put the plan in place and then actually make and have the plan work? What happens then?
Through the chair, there is a mechanism under regulation under the Clean Water Act that would allow a municipal risk management official to issue a notice to a landowner of their intention to impose a risk management plan on that property. That's not a tool that has been widely used yet, but the municipal staff are aware of it, and it is an option to impose a risk management plan. However, we understand that having a collaborative relationship with landowners is more successful in the long run in terms of implementation. We are, over the next few years, undertaking a comprehensive review of the source protection plan, and we will be revisiting the policy structure and approach for our agricultural policies, which include the pesticide policies. So our Source Protection Committee will be reviewing this approach moving forward.
I guess on this one, then I have another one. Do we ever go back? I mean, this is now 7 to 8 years since we've done the work. Do we ever go back and sort of have a quick reassessment of the whole area again? Has anything new developed that we ask ourselves? Has anything new developed that wasn't there in 2015? How do we do that?
Through the chair, there are a couple of ways that can happen. One is that the municipal risk management officials really are the boots on the ground. They receive notifications, are engaged through the municipal land use planning and development process. So where you may have a new industry or business or development going on in a sensitive area, they will require a clearance from the risk management official to proceed. So, new threats may be caught that way. And they also engage in regular inspections where risk management plans are already in place or where prohibitions have been issued so that they can continue to make sure that their directions are being followed. And then finally, as municipalities bring on new drinking water supplies like new wells, the technical work that identifies and delineates these vulnerable areas and the threats within them get updated, and that's an opportunity for a more comprehensive review and update of those threats.
Okay, thank you. My other question relates to septic tanks, Madam Chair. It astonishes me that over a 5-year period, only 500 must be inspected. And last year, I'm sure COVID had a lot to do with it, we only did 64, which leaves to finish of the 5-year period, basically 231 of the 500 this year. And that's it's required by the building code, I believe, that minimum number. It surprises me it's not been increased or substantially increased for inspections on an annual or every 5-year basis. It is always surprising to me, Madam Chair, especially when I was a ward councillor, but ever since, how many septic tanks exist within the urban area, continue to exist. I would be willing to bet that some of the Toronto councillors have not considered the fact that there are some in Toronto. I don't know that for a fact, but I'd be willing to bet, given the city of Markham urban area having several, at least, that there are some in Toronto too, within the urban area. And I don't mean the Far East End, Rouge National Urban Park area or that kind of stuff, but I mean urban. Can it be a comment? You know, we don't find too many problems, but you know, one wonders the ones that were built 40 or 50 years ago, how close they may be to water supply, and if they're not in great shape. Has anyone ever asked for more inspections? Maybe I'm asking the lady from Credit Valley again.
Through the chair, I would note that figure of about 500, these are only those septic systems that are located within vulnerable areas identified in the source protection plan. So we don't, under the source protection banner, track inspections of all septic systems, only those that are in vulnerable areas from a drinking water standpoint. And the policy that we have directed towards municipalities to establish a prioritized inspection system, which all municipalities have done. So there's a 5-year window to complete these inspections. And as you might imagine, each municipality handles this a little differently. Some of them complete their inspections all in 1 or 2 years out of the 5-year cycle, and then would go a few years until that 5-year cycle starts again, whereas others spread them out through the 5-year period. So at this time, although some of the planned inspections have been delayed, they are not actually out of compliance or outside of this 5-year window yet. But we do see that quite a few inspections in York Region in particular do need to be complete before the end of this year to meet the 5-year window. I hope that helps.
Just one more then. This is within the source water protection area where it might have an effect on the source water. Does the building code require all septic tanks to be inspected at a certain time or within certain periods of time? Or is it just for this requirement? I mean, is there something beyond somebody in the middle of nowhere, which no rivers, nothing nearby, no wells other than their own? Do they have an inspection requirement as well?
Through the chair, Don Ford may be better positioned to answer that question than myself.
Don's here somewhere. I saw him earlier. Oh, there he is.
Oh, we can't hear you, Don. Nope, still can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Perhaps through the chair, while Don sorts that out, I am aware that the building code does identify a number of priority areas to require regular inspections. Source protection vulnerable areas are included, as are things like the shoreline of Lake Simcoe, for instance. But I'm not familiar with the broad policies that would capture all septic systems.
That might be a better question for your own city staff.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Don.
Oh, sorry. I'm at a new docking station here, and it wasn't picking up my microphone. Through you, Madam Chair. There are no requirements for inspections of septics outside of, under the Clean Water Act, outside of wetland protection areas. Certain municipalities have additional requirements, and they can go above and beyond either the source protection plan or other protections such as the Oak Ridges Marine Conservation Plan. But septic inspections are a relatively new tool in the toolbox for municipalities. So not all of them have established regular inspection programs. I know some in cottage country have a program in place, but some of those were put on pause during the pandemic. They were having a hard time getting staff and getting people to agree to have people come out and visit their properties. So it's been a challenge, certainly with the pandemic over the last 2 years, getting these inspections done. And really it is a municipal issue. In answer to your other question, Jack, about septics in Toronto, the ones I'm aware of are all out in the far east end near the Rouge Park. There may be other isolated ones, but again, that's a municipal matter, and it's up to individual municipalities to put their own programs in place outside of wellhead protection areas.
And through the chair, there are other septic systems. For example, south of Kingston Road, there's large tracts of land, abutting the bluffs where there still are septics, and we still get the odd infill situation in the city of Toronto where there is, a septic system found on something that used to be a farm, but is now the corner of Birchmount and Shepherd, for example. I've come across them, but the redevelopment and the infill and all the intensification that's taking place is actually, they're being addressed in many respects just because of the market and how strong the infill pressures are in the city of Toronto.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Can I have a mover, please, of 8.1? Moved by Mayor Pellegrini, seconded by Councillor Matlow. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. There are no items for section 3. Are there any items of new business? Seeing none, I will then need a mover to adjourn the Toronto and Region Source Protection Authority meeting.
Madam Speaker, happy to do that.
Thank you, Councillor Perruzza, seconded by Councillor Layton. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. And just give us 1 second to flip over to our board meeting. We still have quorum, Joanne? Yes?
Through the chair, we do.
And we're live?
Just give me 1 second. Looks like we're live.
Perfect. I will call the meeting to order and turn it over to our clerk to do roll call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, if you can unmute yourselves to identify that you are present. We've got Ainsley.
Present.
Ash.
Present. Present.
Thank you. Carol.
Present.
Chapelwick.
Present.
Demerla.
Present.
Dies.
Present.
DePaula. Present. Drake.
Present.
Thank you. Fletcher. Sent in regrets. Fonseca.
Present.
Vaughn. Heath.
Present.
Hyatt.
Present.
Innes.
Present.
Jackson.
Present.
Kelleher.
Present.
Layton.
Present.
Mukherjee.
Have to call back.
Matlow.
Present.
Thank you. Paleshi.
Present. Good morning again.
Pasternak has sent in regrets. Pellegrini.
Present.
Perruzza.
Present.
Rosati.
Present.
Santos has sent in regrets. Sinclair.
Present.
And Tang has sent in regrets. Thank you.
Thank you. We respectfully acknowledge the lands we are situated on, our traditional territories and treaty lands, in particular those of Mississaugas of the Credit, as well as the Anishinaabe of the Williams Treaty First Nations, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and are now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto and Region Conservation Authority appreciates and respects the history and diversity of the land and is grateful to have the opportunity to work and meet in this territory. Can I have a mover, please, the minute for March 25th, 2022?
So moved, Councillor Carroll.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll, seconded by Councillor Ainsley. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none. We do have one delegation, but we're just going to quickly go through the consent agenda first. There are no presentations or correspondence or items under Section 1 or Section 3. There are materials from the Executive Committee meeting. 10.1, the minute. Any hold? 10.2, Section 1, items for Board of Directors action. 10.2.1, request for tender for Germain Mills Settlers Park Sanitary Infrastructure Project, Section 2.3. That one's held by Vice Chair Heath.
Is that the agricultural policy?
No.
Oh, that's the one I want to hold. My
Yes,
apologies.
because there's a presentation for that one, so that one will be held.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
10.2.3, appointment of auditors. 10.2.4, Metrolinx property disposition request, City of Toronto.
If I could hold that, please. Thank you, Councillor Layton.
Councillor Layton, thank you. 10.2.5, vendor of record arrangements for supply and delivery of native plant seeds 2022 to 2024. So can I have a mover, please, for 10.2.1, 10.2.3, 10.2.5? Moved by Councillor Layton, seconded by Councillor Jackson. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 10.3, Section 2, 10.3.1, request for proposal for vendors of record arrangements for marketing printing services. 10.3.2, request for proposal for vendors of record arrangement for marketing sign production services. Can I have a mover, please, for 10.3.1 and 10.3.2? Moved by Councillor Ash, seconded by Dr. Chopwick. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Section 3, 10.4, 10.4.1, Metrolinx and requirements on TRC-owned property.
If I could hold that too, please, I can do it in conjunction with the other item that I've held.
Okay, so that's 10.5, sorry, 10.4.1. Section 4, Ontario Regulation 166-06 as amended, 10.5.1, delegated permits for receipt, staff approved and issued. Moved by Councillor Dye, seconded by Councillor Hyatt. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. So we will start with our delegation. We have a delegation by Jessica Skip, Coordinator Community Programs, City of Brampton, and Julian Hansford, Assistant Professor, School of Child and Youth Care, University, in regards to item 10.2.2, TRC Agricultural Land Use Policy. And I will turn it over to you, Jessica, to start.
Hi, good morning.
Julian, do you want to start?
Sure.
Oh, hi, I'm here. I'm sorry. Just a little slow on the
I'll turn
buttons
it
there.
over to you for your delegation, the two of you. Go ahead, please.
Great. I will start. So happy Earth Day and happy Friday again. Over the past 12 years, the City of Brampton, through our community garden program, have provided residents the ability to grow fresh produce, plants at our various community gardens throughout Brampton. Currently, the city has 6 community gardens and facilitates the use of the land for community gardening to help promote healthy eating, positive social interactions, outdoor activity, cross-cultural connections, and to help reduce crime and vandalism in our natural landscapes. As these attributes mirror those at the TRCA that also promotes within their urban agricultural program, in 2019, the city approached TRCA to discuss opportunities to develop a community garden on TRCA agricultural lands at the McLean farm site. Through a permission to enter agreement in 2021 and soon a lease agreement, this partnership with TRCA has enabled the city to establish a unique youth-oriented community garden program called the Black Youth Training Farm. Working with the TRCA, our community partners, the Asase Institute, Entice Mentorship and Community Services, and Uprooted, we've been able to provide an opportunity for Black youth to gain valuable experience in the workforce, leadership opportunities, and education at TRCA's McVean farm site. And here to highlight the program further and the amazing work that they plan to accomplish is Julian Hasford. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. And good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to delegate this morning. We have a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to share my screen. Apologies for the delay. I don't typically use WebEx, and I'm being prompted to change some settings here, so please bear with me. Okay, you know what? I'm having some difficulties here. I'm not sure what the case is, but what we can do is speak to the slides. I believe the presentation has been forwarded already to members of the board. Is that right, Joanne?
Julian, sorry for the chair. What I'll do is I'll share my screen and do the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Joanne. So I'm actually joined by several members of our collective. So it includes Sheldon Caruana, who will be presenting briefly with me, as well as Hansel Ibawa, Sheldamar Elliott, and Debbie Dunn, who is the Executive Director of the Entice Mentorship and Community Services. Next slide, please. So this initiative that we are developing at the McVean Farm is in response to a number of issues that I hope and assume that many of the members of the board are aware of, including the issues around our kind of broken, unsustainable, and oppressive food system, in which many people, especially people of color, racialized and Black and Indigenous communities specifically, face significant inequities in food insecurity, as well as broader inequities related to education and employment faced by Black youth, and the lack of representation of Black youth within specifically STEM industries, green industries, and agri-food sectors. This project is also in response to emerging evidence, in which we've known for quite some time, related to disparities in funding and capacity of Black-led nonprofit organizations to provide various types of services to the community. So essentially what we are trying to develop is a space that can promote Black food sovereignty and community empowerment, but from a context and from a basis that is youth-led and youth-centered. Next slide, please. So the vision of the project is to establish the farm as what we've called a nucleus of excellence in Black empowerment, holistic wellness, and food sovereignty, and a safe space for intergenerational peer mentorship. This is somewhat of a fluid vision statement that's been evolving in dialogue with our youth committee. It is currently kind of in flux, but this gives you a sense of what we are hoping, what we envision for this space. Next slide, please. Our mission is to use the transformative power of food to holistically address environmental, educational, economic, socio-political, cultural, and health issues facing Black communities. Okay, so this project, we're seeing it as having a broad mandate that goes above and beyond simply food to address a range of other factors related to Black wellness. Next slide, please. So The structure of this initiative, it's based on a collective, and the membership of that collective has three main partners. One is Uprooted, which is a youth-led organization, a grassroots youth-led organization. The second is Asase Institute, which is a community-based organization whose role is primarily around research and evaluation and supporting overall capacity building and strategic development. And then the third is the Entice Mentorship and Community Services. And this organization is responsible for farm management, financial management, youth engagement, and fundraising. And so the three organizations, we have a steering committee, which currently consists of about 15 members, which includes representatives of each of the collective organizations. We also are supported by a number of institutional partners, including Toronto Region Conservation Authority, the City of Brampton, Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board, and Ryerson University, and are currently supported by the Elizabeth Fry Society and Taibu Community Health Center as trustees for some of our grants. Next slide. Some of the initiatives that we've been operating, and we will describe them shortly, have been supported by a number of different funders, including the Community Foundations of Canada, who funded a feasibility study last year, City of Brampton Advanced Brampton Fund, which supported youth outreach in 2021, the Region of Peel Change Fund, which also supported a pilot project last summer, and then the Trillium Foundation Youth Opportunities Fund, which has supported a school-based pilot project that we initiated last year and that will continue until the winter of 2023. Next slide. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sheldon.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Julian, for providing that overview of the structure and rationale of the project. I'm going to talk to folks about the programs and kind of more about what we do for the project. So on a high level, the Black Youth Farming Collective is led by a steering committee consisting of 15 members that are involved regularly in the strategic planning, governance, and outreach. And an important part of the steering committee is that it is youth-led, and we are a youth-led initiative. Another important part of the work that we do revolves around research, and not just any type of research, but youth-led community-based research. So we're constantly looking for ways to engage our steering committee and other youth in the project in ways of knowledge acquisition, from market research to program evaluation to arts-based research, as well as agricultural research. Another important part of our project is the Black Food Leadership Program, which is currently taking place in partnership with the Peel District School Board, which involves a winter and spring after-school leadership and employment training, where youth are participating and learning about research skills, developing out the program themselves through directly involving young people within the school system to find out what are the knowledge gaps, what are the needs, how do we create opportunities for Black youth in the agricultural and environmental field. The Urban Farm Trainee Program, which is a program that took place last year for our pilot and is taking place again this year. And this is where young people are engaged in working at the farm. Last year was a lot of development of the infrastructure on the McVean farm site. And this year we'll be continuing to do that with more of an aspect of food production. Again, of course, being a farm, food production is an important part of our goals, especially as it relates to addressing issues of food insecurity within our communities. I think we've seen, as Julian mentioned, around the need for it, especially with the pandemic. Advocacy. The Black Youth Farming Collective has had hosted the first International Black Youth Food Sovereignty Forum in February, which partnered with a number of different organizations, both here in Canada, as well as in the US and Ghana and Jamaica. So again, kind of that focusing on that nucleus of being this hub of information and research around food sovereignty and how we get there, and again, a big part of our team and our vision in terms of how do we share this with the community and with the world is through digital storytelling and using that as a medium for the production of media. So one of the things that we're working on right now is a documentary that captures the experiences of youth, as well as using social media platforms to share these different stories and storytell. Next slide, please. And this here is actually an image of the site design, preliminary site design of one of the kind of three spaces that were allocated to the project. And we spent some time when we initially did our market research and our feasibility study to really look at and design what could be in terms of the potential uses for the space. And there are 3 different designs for each of the areas that are currently located there. One with a goal of being more of a commercial production space, one with the goal of being a research space, and the other in terms of a therapeutic space for children. And next slide, please. And I'll pass it back to Julian.
Excellent. Thank you, Sheldon. And if in case folks are interested, we do have a short video that we've produced as part of that digital storytelling, and we'd be happy to share the link at the end of the presentation. So in terms of how this project aligns with the new TRCA Urban Agricultural Land Use Policy, we want to highlight what we identified as a few areas of alignment. One, of course, is that it would operate as a community garden within the current policy structure, but it would also include urban agricultural activities, right? So food production, sale, and other forms of distribution will be central to the work. It also aligns with some 2 key principles, including sustainability, right? So supporting agricultural opportunities that promote food security, localized food production, and having multiple community benefits within a self-sustaining business model. So again, when we do get to the stage where we're able to distribute and sell the food, the focus will be on targeting as much as possible those who live within the immediate local areas, and in particularly some of the adjacent low-income communities which have high proportions of Black low-income families. And then around engagement, I think it's quite obvious, given what we stated so far, is that there will be a significant focus on education and community engagement throughout in various forms. Next slide, please. So in terms of next steps, we are, as Sheldon said, piloting an after-school Black Youth Food Leadership Program. So this will it's running this spring and will continue into spring of 2023. We'll be piloting an expansion of our summer urban farm trainee program, which is the paid employment summer program, and we'll again be doing that this summer and then expanding it in 2023. And are currently working on acquiring some capital and operating funds to expand our capacity and build the infrastructure for some of the other plots that we've identified for the project. And I think that's it.
Great, thank you, Julian. The city looks forward to continuing to partner with your team, the TRCA, and our community partners on TRCA land.
Thank you, Jessica, Julian, and Sheldon for your presentation. Are there any members of the board who have any questions of the presentation? Vice Chair Heath, go ahead, please.
Oh, not really a question. How long is the video? If it's not too long, I'd like to see it.
It's about 7 minutes.
Oh, I think we can all afford 7 minutes. I'll not ask any more questions today. We'll easily save time.
Okay, sure.
Joanne, are you able to load up the video so we could?
If Julian can share that video link with me,
okay.
I can.
Sheldon will do that in just a moment.
Okay, and while we're doing that, we'll continue on with the questions. Councillor Matlow.
Thank you. Thanks for that presentation, and thanks for the work that you're doing. I wonder if you have already, and tell me obviously if you have, and if you haven't, I wonder if you'd be interested in doing so, to build relationships with some of the people in the Little Jamaica area of Toronto along Eglinton West that have also been focusing on Black food security and bringing locally grown food to the area. And in particular, there's a new market that we've worked on together that opened up a couple years ago called the Afro-Caribbean Farmers Market that you may be aware of. And I just wonder, have you connected with Laurie Beezer and the organizers? And if not, may I be helpful to connect you to see if you'd like to collaborate?
Thanks for that question, Councillor Matlow. And Deb, I'm not sure if you want to speak to it, but last summer, we actually, as part of our training pilot, we took the students on a field trip and visited that market. And it was an amazing experience. And we've really given that some thought. In terms of initiating a formal conversation, not yet. But I do know that some folks within our collective do have existing relationships with them. So absolutely, we will definitely kind of want to explore those opportunities for engaging community. Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you. And just to add, so Laurie Beezer and Jackie as well, we have contacts with them. And so I think part of what we need to do as well is to be able to have enough food to be able to have in the market in order to be able to be sustainable for the summer. So that's something that we need to work on as well. But those connection and ties have definitely are there. And thank you very much for suggesting it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. And Dr. Drake?
Yeah, this is just a really short question. I'm just curious, is this the youth farm or the youth activities integrated at all with Ryerson's rooftop farm?
Not directly. So we have, I have a connection with the Center for Studies in Food Security, and the African Food Basket has also been involved, in particular around some of the advocacy work we've done. So indirectly, we have some relationships with those folks, and some of the youth on the team have also been involved with the rooftop farm and the Center for Studies in Food Security as well. So certainly, yes, there's an existing relationship, but nothing formal in terms of partnerships.
With that, maybe I can't see everybody, so maybe we'll do the video, and then if there are any final questions, we can proceed to that after. Elaine, if you want to start it.
Great, excellent. And just a bit of context. So this video was kind of created in preparation for the Black Food Sovereignty International Forum. So it captures the voices of our steering committee and really speaks to the understanding of Black food sovereignty within the project. I'm hoping that you will all be able to hear the video. So without further delay, I will start. I'll start the video. Are you guys hearing the audio?
I am not hearing it.
Right. Okay. I went on a bit of a limb here, thinking I could share this, but let me share the link, and hopefully we can. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that.
No worries. Sheldamar, did you want to say anything about the rooftop farm? Still here? Or your kind of connection to this work?
Yeah, I mean, hi everybody, Sheldamar here. I don't have too much of a connection with the Ryerson rooftop farm, but I did start a lot of my work on campus at Ryerson, initially with a lot of activism around student food insecurity, and then essentially transitioning into a lot of community work around Black food sovereignty. So that's essentially where I'm at now, and I'm currently a steering committee member for the Farming Collective, and was also able to support with the short documentary that Sheldon is preparing for folks right now.
While we're waiting, Councillor Carroll, go ahead.
Quick question. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right Instagram. On Instagram, is it Black Youth Farming Collective?
The Instagram handle is BYFC_official.
Okay, so I'm on the right Instagram, and all I can say to the board meeting is you need way more followers and lots of people who are going to end up liking it and building your exposure, which means everyone on this board needs to do that right now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Joanne, are you able to start it? Still is no sound. Maybe I'm the only one, but I can't hear anything.
Sorry to the chair, there was no sound either in that one.
Okay. Maybe what we can do is Joanne can send a link to the board members following the meeting to the video, as well as we'll include maybe Sheldon, if you could also flip Joanne your social media handles, and then we could flip that to the board members as well to follow and share and promote. That would be great. Are there any other questions or comments of the presentation? Mr. Sinclair, go ahead, please.
Madam Chair, what is the McVean Farm? Somebody mentioned it during the presentation.
The McVean Farm is part of the Conservation Authority. It's one of our areas, and it is an urban agricultural area that we've formulated within the TRCA. I don't know, John, did you want to give a little bit more background?
And yeah, through the chair, it's located in the southern part of the Clairville Conservation Area. We're actually having an Earth Day cleanup there tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. If you look at our events page, there's some like an Earth Day plug. There is a cleanup going on there, but the Clairville Conservation Area has an area that's been traditionally farmed as part of an urban agricultural farm, and again, there's been this great interest from this incredible organization and the organizations around it, and the city of Brampton in doing a lease into this and an updated lease agreement that would then facilitate, I guess, more activation and more investment and more activation of all this area. So it's pretty exciting.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much.
Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming to present. I've had the opportunity of meeting with you earlier, and you have a wonderful advocate in Councillor Williams from the City of Brampton and support from the Region of Peel. As you know, and many of our board members know, agriculture is very near and dear to my heart, as my family has been farming in Ontario for more than 150 years. So it's important that we continue to educate and include and get that message out. And food security is becoming more and more of an issue and concern. So I just want to say a very big thank you for all of the effort that you're continuing to do. And TRCA is very proud to be a partner and to be working with you, and look forward to meeting hopefully again in the near future to see how those pilot programs are working and what more we can do to assist you. I know that that's on John's radar for us to continually meet and keep updated to make sure that those partnerships are successful, because we want you to be successful. The McVean Farm is important to the Region of Peel and the TRCA and the City of Brampton in particular. So a very big thank you for all of your efforts. And with that, I do need a mover to receive the delegation. Moved by Dr. Drake, and I'm going to do seconded by Councillor Leshy from the City of Brampton. All those in favor? That's carried. And I will move to item 10.2.2, which is the TRCA's agricultural policies, and it was held by Vice Chair Heath, which I think was just for the delegation, but wanted to know if there are any other comments, questions, or concerns.
Yeah, Councillor Innes, it's Debbie Dunn here. I just wanted to say we really appreciate it, and the fact that you're saying that you guys are looking to support us more. Some of the things that we are also wanting to have happen as well is that the timelines that we're going to be in the space, because it takes a lot of work, as you know, to prep land and prepare it and get it organized and grow the food, and that is something that takes a long duration of time. So, you know, we're really looking for the TRCA to really say, okay, look, this is a long project. So, you know, they're going to need the time to build and to grow. And whatever additional resources you have within the space, I think there's another, I think it's 10 acres or so, to be sort of allocated so that as we grow, we have the ability to grow in that space and be able to do the work that we need to do. So that's something that's really important from our perspective as well. And we're really hoping that TRCA, as you guys build it and think about what it is we're doing, to afford us the opportunity to have that additional space as we needed and the tenure in order to be able to do the work as well.
Great. Thank you, Deb. And we will add those to our agenda items when we have our upcoming meeting, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. So are there any other questions in regard to 10.2.2? Seeing none, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Vice Chair Heath, seconded by Councillor Dyes. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. 10.2.4 and 10.1 were both held by Councillor Layton. I think your questions pertain to both. Councillor Layton, is that correct?
Yes, and it should be relatively brief, although like we know that transactions with Metrolinx rarely are. I'm not sure the level of experience most of the councillors all have. It's probably a lot in dealing with Metrolinx. I'm just curious because it seems specific to the Toronto context in the Don Valley. Is there an opportunity, and does the TRCA prioritize the exchange of land rather than the sort of exchange of money for land? Like, are we able to request Metrolinx land that may help us fulfill other parts of our mandate, like recreational? It lists specifically in the report our core mandate, which I'm sure the province would prefer us to stick to, but we have a much wider mandate from our board, which I believe in, and I think it's very rightly something we should be doing around education, around recreation. Is there the ability of us to sort of say, you want our land, can we get it? This is very desirable land that we could use in fulfilling the rest of our mandate.
So through the chair, I'll start, and then Alexander Schuler can add to this, who's our associate director of property. Yes, we can request it, and I guess the challenge that we've had is that they're operating with their legislative framework that allows them to trigger the expropriations noted process. They can go through the Expropriation Act. They also have their environmental assessment process, and so we can build all of this into our requests and into our discussions with Metrolinx. Unfortunately, it's in many ways up to them to continue that discussion. But I think I think if there's something specific, we can have a more specific discussion on it. But really, we are identifying a lot of the major issues, concerns related to any property requests that come our way. And I think, but the land exchange process, it is something that we haven't done any express land exchanges over the last few years that I've been here with Metrolinx, but it's something that we can raise in our processes. Alex, is there anything you want to add?
Through the chair, not too much, just to build on one of John's points with respect to the expropriation. Usually they are pretty compressed timelines, so sometimes it could be like between 4 to 7 months. So we would obviously be relying on I guess Metrolinx to have the proper database and parcels that they could potentially want to discuss with us. But I think like due to their express timelines, it will prove challenging, but it's definitely something, Councillor, we can explore further because it does make sense. It's a good idea, and we can commit to building those discussions into the voluntary review process with Metrolinx.
So here's an idea, because we've done this before with respect to the Strawn Avenue overpass. They needed a tiny bit of land from us but we needed an approval from them. We refused our tiny bit of land and told them expropriate. But you could get it a lot faster if you just gave us this approval with something else. This is like a carrot and a stick sort of thing. We also, on another occasion, had the same scenario where we wanted land of theirs up in Downsview in the park to expand the park, but we knew it in advance. So I think that was the that may be the difference here. Is if we have a list of properties that would be useful to gain some access to of theirs in advance, this is not going to end here, right? Like we know this is going to be, and hopefully transit expands all over Ontario and the GTA for many decades to come. Like I am a full supporter of that. But let's make sure if we're able to acquire little slivers of land here or there for crossing tracks, for getting a little closer to tracks than in their land than we would need to, all of their old lines, if any, aren't necessary anymore. We have one just further up the Don Valley that it would be really nice if we had that sort of itemized list for so if they came to us, we said, hey, like, cash is fun, but really what our board has instructed us to do is prioritize fulfilling our mandate, because you could see them just chipping away at our assets over the coming decades, and we wouldn't want to have that.
And through the chair, I do want to note that one of your very active colleagues at the city, Councillor Jennifer McKelvey, and I are very involved on one of these specific parcels that we're trying to either acquire or get work done on to complete, or I guess to address an issue with the waterfront trail near Highland Creek. And Paul Ainsley is working on this as well with me and with Jennifer, with Bill Burster and team. So there are those incidences, there are those sites across the city where we're actively working on. So I think your point though is a really good one, and I think we can be a little bit more strategic and go back as staff, look at what those parcels are on a more strategic basis and build that in earlier. I think being proactive on that front is going to put us in a better position. So I do really appreciate the point.
I'm not sure if Metrolinx is listening in, and I'm not sure we need this, but I would even say it should be a matter of policy that it's land first, like a replacement first, and here's our priority list. It would fill me with joy if this little bit down on the Don Valley helped complete that trail and got it to us faster. If you're not, they will steamroll, and they will disregard and use their legislation. We need to use what little power we have, which is delay. And if we have already a menu of things for them to choose from, like this Highland Creek piece, I think we may be able to achieve it and get it, as well as not delay the process of expanding public transit. So here's my 2 cents. Thank you very much for the time.
Just through the chair, if I could just add one more thing for the councillor. Sometimes it's like a temporary interest too, which obviously would prove a bit more difficult when doing a land swap. But yeah, definitely something we can explore.
Oh, it's even more powerful when it's temporary, because they don't want any delays. It's worth much more. You rent it to them, fine, but rent it to them at a rate that is much more than the purchase rate.
Yeah.
Dr. Carroll?
Yes, Madam Chair, having heard staff's answers, I'm wondering if we actually do want to move a motion. I know Councillor Layton didn't want to move a motion and come up the works. It was just to ask a question and get staff advice. But I'm wondering if it makes sense so that we don't, maybe someone is watching for Metrolinx. We don't want to look like we're trying to obstruct, but at the same time, we too have a mandate, both municipally and provincially. So I'm wondering if we want to ask staff to report back on, in cooperating with Metrolinx mandate, that the TRCA inventory opportunities where Metrolinx can help TRCA fulfill theirs, so that you can see that what we're doing is trying to develop a policy that makes sure that we're mindful of our own mandate, but not trying to obstruct their own, and then get a proper staff report back.
I think I'm not sure we need to do a motion. I think we give just direction in the meeting to ask staff to do that. I think it's
Okay.
the point well made, and I think with us trying to especially achieve our trail strategy that we have, that's a fitting part, and that's information that we already have accessible. So if maybe we can just ask staff to report back, and I'm going to say within the next quarter. I'm going to give you a little bit of a timeline.
Sure.
Because a lot of those projects are starting to happen and be underway now. So,
Yeah.
so if we can ask John, is that enough time for you to come back with a report, and then perhaps maybe a recommendation for part of our policy for our CR process?
Through the chair, I think we can take it that as staff direction to look at that. I'm looking for Alexander and Michael and some nods from our department, but I know that we have got some active discussions underway, and we have some sites in mind, and we have, like you mentioned, Madam Chair, our regional trail strategy that guides some of our acquisition priorities and matters like that. So I think it's fair to do. I would ask if we could do that. We'll try to do it as soon as possible, but we'll take that direction, staff direction. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Can I have a mover then for 10.2.4 and 10.4.1? Councillor.
Happy to do that, Madam Chair. Perruzza.
Okay, Councillor Perruzza, and seconded by Councillor Demurla. Are there any other comments or questions in regards to those two items? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. There are no items for closed session. I do have new business. That the clerk, Joanne, is going to be reaching out to the board for them to have an opportunity to visit and tour the new administrative office building following the June 24th Board of Directors meeting. So just keep watch, or ask your staff to keep watch for those for that email to schedule your time and your interest in that. That would be greatly appreciated. And are there any other items of new business? Seeing none, please just a plug, a reminder that John has already mentioned. It is Earth Day today, and we are having Earth Day events throughout our land. Over I think most of them are actually tomorrow, and it's going to be a little bit rainy, but all the more reason why to get the family out. So I hope that you're able to participate in some of them. And to do some of those community cleanups. I know there's happening at Tommy Thompson Park and along the shoreline, and Clairville and a bunch of the different areas. So have a look at that. Maybe I'll ask Joanne to include that list of events in that email to you today with the social media links for the Black Youth Training Farm Program. And with that, can I have a mover for the adjournment? Usually you, Councillor Perruzza. I'm gonna nominate you. Moved adjournment by Councillor Perruzza. All those in favor?
Absolutely, I am, Madam Chair. I just sometimes I have trouble taking myself off mute, right? Even my phone says don't say nothing. Move adjournment, Madam Chair. Happy to do that. Have a
All
good
those
weekend,
in favor?
everyone.
Any opposed? Perfect. Thank you.